Hello, my name is Ziad. I am an engineering student and also I am an English tutor in Kurt Fairborn. In this video I will be teaching Vocabulary English Level 3. First of all, let's know what is vocabulary and why we should study vocabulary when we are trying to learn foreign languages. Vocabulary is all the words which exist in a particular language. So it's important to us as a student to learn new vocabulary in any language that we are going to learn. Vocabulary is the most important factor in learning new languages because if we know the meaning of vocabulary in English, we will understand English books, English magazines, English lessons, English movies. Learning new vocabs helps students to improve their writings and write perfect essay. These lessons are designed to help students to learn many new vocabulary in English in order to improve their understandings in English. Welcome to the first lesson. Let's begin with the first vocabulary life story. Its word form is noun. Life story is everything that has happened to someone during their life. The Kurdish meaning of life story is given here, is written Cherokee Jian, یا خود بسرهاتی Jian. We can write our life story into naughty books, into magazines, and also we can read the life story of famous scientists or famous persons in the past. For example, here this book is about the life story of Einstein. Sentence examples. The last time Sally sat me next to Ali, I had to hear his whole life story. The second one, Arjun has written down his father's life story into a nice book. The third one, Stephen will write a book about Prophet Muhammad's life story in last decades. Here are some practice questions to you to really understand the meaning of the life story. The first one, blank, everything that has happened to someone during their life. I will give you a few seconds to pick up the right vocabulary for this question. The right vocabulary for this question is life story. Why? Because as we see here, the definition of life story is given. Everything that has happened to someone during their life. The second practice question. Ziad is going to read a book about Sheikh Mahmoud's blank to know some important information about Sheikh's roles in Kurdish revolutions. Here are the multiple choices. I will give you a few seconds to pick up the right vocabulary for this question. The right vocabulary for this question is life story. Why? Because here Ziad is going to know some information about the life of Sheikh Mahmoud. So as we said in the previous slide, if we want to know information about someone, we read the life story of that person. So the right vocabulary for this question is life story. Another vocabulary is celebrity. Its word form is noun. Celebrity is someone who is famous, especially in the entertainment business. Its Kurdish meaning is Banaubang Naudar. As you see from the picture, this is a picture of Jackie Chan. We all know that Jackie Chan is a famous actor. Sentence examples. The first one. Betty loves to read about the lives of celebrities. Second one. The success of my book has given me unexpected celebrity status. The third one, Ansar is a celebrity in our company. He is teaching the foundations of business. The fourth one, being recognized in the street, it's a part of being celebrity. In all these sentences, we clearly know the meaning of celebrity, which means someone is famous. Practice number one. The first one, blank, someone who is famous, especially in the entertainment business. Unemployed, campaign, teacher, celebrity. The right vocabulary for this practice is celebrity. Why? Because the question is asking about celebrity. As we mentioned that the celebrity in the previous slides, it means someone who is famous. So when it's talking about famous, we choose celebrity. Practice number two. Jack Ma has made Alibaba website, and today he is one of the blank that China is proud of him. Celebrity, chef, guest, tourist. The right vocabulary for this practice is celebrity, because it's talking about a famous man. Jack Ma has made Alibaba website, and today he is one of the celebrities. He is one of the famous businessman that China is proud of him. The third practice problem. Being easily recognized in the party is a part of Sally's blank campaign, snowboarding, celebrity, luggage. The right vocabulary for this practice is celebrity. Why? Because this question is talking about Sally, and Sally is a famous, maybe he's famous actor, he's famous teacher. When he's crossing the street, people recognize her. So Sally is a famous, and Sally is celebrity. Another vocabulary is chef. Its word form is noun. Chef is a skilled and trained cook who works in a hotel or restaurant, especially the most important cook. Also, chef is someone who cooks well in the hotels and restaurants. The Kurdish meaning for chef is chef and cheshlener. As you clearly see that from the picture, you see this girl. This girl is a chef. He's cooking this food. Sentence examples. The first one. Ansar is one of the top chefs in Kurdistan, and he's participated in the food competition. The second one. The head chef runs the hotel kitchen and strict efficiency. The third one. A couple of the kitchen staffs are on holiday. I have to be a chef tonight. The fourth one. That was an excellent meal. My compliments to the chef. The fifth one. Kale is the newest chef in the Hardy restaurant. That was an excellent meal. My compliments to the chef. Here are some practice questions. The first practice question is blank. a skilled and trained cook who works in a hotel or restaurant, especially the most important cook or someone who cooks well in the hotels and restaurants. Soldiers, teacher, chef, recipient. The right vocabulary for this practice is chef, because this is a definition of a chef, and especially this part of the sentence which says someone who cooks well in the hotels and restaurants. When we hear this when we read this sentence, we know that it's talking about someone who works in hotels, working in the restaurants, who cooks food. So it's a chef. Practice number 2. Ziad had studied blank in French for 3 years, and now he is an excellent blank at Dawa restaurant. He always cooks delicious foods at home. Chemist, accountant, chef, guitarist. The right answer for this practice is chef. Why? Because in the last part of the sentence mentions that he always cooks delicious foods at home or at Dawa restaurant. When we hear that, we definitely say this guy should be studying chef, not a chemist, not a accountant, not a guitarist, because only chef cooks food in the restaurants. Practice number 3. Carwan's restaurant now has an excellent new young blank Cardo. He cooks Italian, French, German food for foreign travelers. A. Construction engineer. B. Manager. C. Doctor. D. Chef. The right vocabulary for this practice is chef. Why? Because Cardo is a young chef in the Carwan's restaurant. He cooks Italian and French and German food for foreign travelers. Another vocabulary is recipe, recipient. The word form for both vocabularies is now. The definition for the first vocabulary is a set of instructions telling you how to prepare and cook food, including a list of what food is needed for this. The definition for the second vocabulary, recipient is a person who receives something. The Kurdish meaning for these vocabularies are: for the first vocabulary is racheti khorak. For the second vocabulary is wargir, or someone receives something. Sentence examples. The first one: for real South Iranian food, just follow these recipes that are given in the magazine. The second one: this latest cut in government spending will affect income support recipients and their families. Shadi never follow recipes when he cooks. He just uses them as a rough guidance. 4. Baking a delicious cake isn't difficult. It is just the matter of following the recipe that Ali gave you. The fifth one: Hero's brother was a recipient of the Civilian Service Award. The sixth one. The new recipe is given in both metric and imperial measures. In these sentences, we know that the meaning of recipe and recipient in all these sentences, the recipe means a list of foods that we need to make a food, and the second vocabulary is recipient, as someone who receives something. Like this one, Hero's brother was a recipient of the Civilian Service Award. He received this award. Practice number 1. Blank. A set of instructions telling you how to prepare and cook food, including a list of what food is needed for this. A. Recipient, novel, history book, recipe. The right vocabulary for this practice is recipe. Why? Because the practice is telling us that instructions telling you how to prepare and cook a food. So we have to follow recipe, yes, to prepare and cook food, including the list of what food is needed for our meal, for our food. So this is not the first one. Recipient is someone who receives something, but recipe is a list of what food is needed for our meal, or what food is needed to make a particular food. Practice number 2. Yesterday my sister got a blank in Ayat's restaurant about how to bake Persian pie meat. A. Recipe. B. Sausage. C. Love story. D. Delicious kebab. Yeah. The right vocabulary for this question is recipe, because it's talking about restaurant, and it's talking about how to bake a particular food, like we have here to bake a Persian pie meat. So we have to follow a recipe to make and to cook Persian pie meat. Practice number 3. Blank. A person who receives something. Recipe, celebrity, recipient, drum. The right vocabulary for this practice is recipient, because we mentioned that in the previous slides, when a person receives something, we call that person recipient. As we mentioned, the hero's brother who received Civilian Serve Award. Another vocabulary is TV series. Its word form is noun. What is TV series? TV series is a number of similar or related events or things, one following another, like a TV series, are connected to each other. Its Kurdish meaning is Zinjirei al-Qaila TV. As you see from the picture, there are many TV series in the TV, and we usually see and watch TV series in Kurdistan, like Dr. Horjon is one of the is one of the most famous TV series in Kurdistan that all people watch. Sentence examples. The first one. Evin Aso gave a series of lectures at Net TV last year on women rights. The second one. We always watch all the TV series with my family every night at 9 p.m. Third one. There are some movie series every Sunday in NRT. We always watch them with our friends. The fourth one. Some TV series are beneficial for children because they help children to learn new things about their future. Practice number 1. Blank. A number of similar or related events or things, one following another, like a TV series, are connected to each other. Art gallery, TV series, school, cooking list. The right vocabulary for this practice is TV series, because as we mentioned from the previous slides, we meant that TV series are the number of similar or related events are connected together, and as we mentioned, Dr. Hodgins TV series. So, and for the vocabulary for this question is TV series. The second practice question. Every night, Sally and her family watch Kurdish blank on NRT Speda Payam channel. A. Radio, B. Short stories, C. TV series, D. Fresh ingredients. So, yes. The right vocabulary for this practice is TV series, because in the last part of the sentence we see many different channels here: NRT, Speda, Payam. So Sally every night watches these TV series in these different channels with her family. Another vocabulary is campaign, and there's another campaign. The word form for the first vocabulary is noun, and the word form for the second vocabulary is verb. The definition for campaign in a noun form is a planned group of especially political, business, or military activities which are intended to achieve a particular aim. The definition for campaign in verb form is to organize a series of activities to try to achieve something. Its Kurdish meaning is پەلاماردان بۆ بەدەستهێنانی ئامانج یاخود بەدەستهێنانی ئامانج بە هەر شێوەیەک. As you see from the picture, this guy is shouting. Yes, it's campaigning about these stuffs, and this guy is listening to him. Sentence examples. The first one. They have been campaigning for years to get him out of prison. They are busy campaigning against the building of a new motorway near here. The protests were part of their campaign against the proposed building development in the area. This is the latest act of terrorism in a long-standing and bloody campaign of violence. The fifth one, the government has just launched their annual Christmas campaign to stop drunk driving. The sixth one, he is spending a lot of his time at the moment campaigning of the Conservative Party. Practice number one. Blank, a planned group of especially political, business, or military activities which are intended to achieve a particular aim. Workshop, TV series, campaign, party. The right vocabulary for this practice is campaign because as you remember from the definition of campaign, we mentioned that campaign is a planned group of especially political, business, or military activities which are intended to achieve a particular aim. People are campaigning about their rights on governmental officials because they need some necessity for their lives. So for this particular practice, as we said, it's campaign because campaign is a planned group of essentially political and business or military activities which are intended to achieve a particular aim. Do not forget this definition of campaign because this is the right definition for campaign, and you can recognize the word of campaign by this definition when you hear this definition. The second practice is the protest was a part of their blank against the proposed building development in the area. A. Celebrity, B. Journey, C. Campaign, D. Support. The right vocabulary for this practice is campaign. Why? Because people are doing protest, yes, against the proposed building development in the area. So when you hear that something is against and people and you hear that people are doing protest for something, so this is a campaign because they are disagree with something and they are demanding to achieve something. Practice number 3. PKK has been blank for many years to get Abdullah Öcalan out of prison. A. Rafting, B. Walking, C. Campaigning, D. Running. The proper vocabulary for this practice is campaigning because PKK has been campaigning for many years to get out Abdullah Öcalan from prison. So they are disagree with that government who captured Abdullah Öcalan, so they want to escape him from prison. So they are campaigning for many years to get out this man from the prison. Here, this is another vocabulary: government and governmental. The word form for the first one, government, is noun form. The word form for the second vocabulary, governmental, is adjective. The definition for the first vocabulary, government is the groups of people who officially control a country like the government of Kurdistan. The definition for the second vocabulary, governmental is belonging or relating to the government, like government officials who are relating to the government. The Kurdish meaning for this vocabulary is حكومات. As you see from the picture, this is a picture of White House of the US, and they are running a government there. So also we have a government like a government of Kurdistan. Sentence examples. The first one: the Minister of Kurdistan has announced that there will be no change in government policy. The second one: all Kurdish people await a governmental decision about the future of the country. The third one: US government is spending millions of dollars in its attempt to combat this is wrong here, this should be a drug, sorry, to combat drug abuse. So the D is missing here, sorry. Here are more examples here about the government. Senior government officials will be attending a meeting tomorrow. The sixth one: because of some governmental problems in Kurdistan, we cannot do arrangements with Iraqi government. Here the governmental is mentioned. It means governmental problems, or those problems, or those those types who are belonging to or relating to the government. We call them governmental issues or governmental problems. Like we can say we have many governmental problems in Kurdistan. The practice for this vocabulary, the practice number one. The first one, blank. The groups of people who officially control a country like the government of Kurdistan. A, campaign. B, governmental. C, government. D, meeting. The proper vocabulary for this practice is government, because as we said and as we mentioned from the previous slide, that government is a group of people who officially control or who officially work together to control a particular country, like government of Kurdistan, like government of US, government of Iraq, and other governments. So government is different from the governmental, because the staffs and officials are governmental who are belonging to government, but government is a group of people who work together to control a particular country. So the proper vocabulary for this practice is government. The second practice question, number 2: because of some blank problems here in Kurdistan, we cannot do arrangements with Iraqi government. A, government. B, reading. C, governmental. D, quality. The proper vocabulary for this practice is governmental, because as we mentioned from the previous slide, that everything that belongs to government we say governmental. Because of some governmental issues or governmental problems here in Kurdistan, we cannot do some arrangements with Iraqi governments to solve and to resolve our problems here. So the right vocabulary is governmental. The third practice question, number 3, blank. Belonging or relating to the government. Celebrity. B, confidence. C, governmental. D, government. The proper vocabulary for this practice is governmental, because as we mentioned in the previous slide, and it's clearly shown in the definition of the governmental, it says that everything that belongs or relating to the government is governmental, like governmental officials. So the right vocabulary for this practice is governmental, because governmental belonging or relating to the government.